What's going on, guys? In this video I want to do something entirely different, and that is to talk about depression and bad mood, how it affects us, how we can become afflicted with it, and some steps that you can take to fix it and improve your mood. And I can say for myself, I don't think I have full-on depression or have gone through that, but I can definitely feel in the past number of years, let's say since 2013, 2014, a much lower mood. And I can tell you some of the things that have worked to combat that. For me, I've always considered myself a happy person, a happy, energetic person. I used to really always think that I'm just happy by nature, despite financial problems, family problems, work stress problems. I've always been a pretty happy guy. And in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, my life on paper has been at the best it's been. But I'd probably have to say that my baseline mood is at the lowest it's ever been. And there are things that I've done in the last few years that have helped, and there are things that I've done that I think have ultimately fixed it to get me back to my old self, and I'm going to share them with you. Now, this is going to be a much longer video, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave sort of a table of contents in the first comment below. So for those of you who are impatient to get through the whole video, you can sort of maybe browse the comments and see what applies to you. We're going to cover what makes for happiness and what I think makes for happiness. We're going to cover fitness a little bit, or being physical. We're going to cover addiction a little bit. We're going to cover sleep, vitamin supplementation, the social aspect of mood. We're going to cover different mental perspectives, a little bit of societal programming, and we'll probably touch on money. Now, they're not going to be comprehensive, in-depth analysis of each of the topics, just a few tips and points that I have on each, actionable steps that you can take, and hopefully that's going to help you up your mood. Hopefully it's going to help you enjoy life more, enjoying life for no reason at all, just to be in a better mood and a better state so that you can be happy and content going about your day, doing the things that you do. All right, let's start with number one. Now, in all of my experience and chasing after happiness, and I've read a lot about happiness, and I'm always one of these people who's reflecting, not just so I can figure things out for myself, but so I can help other people. I get a lot of joy out of giving and helping other people. I think that the ultimate happiness is work. And it may sound like a contradiction, but doing work, having work that you are passionate about, being in the mood to do work, is the ultimate contentment and the ultimate happiness. Now, don't get this confused with your job, because your job is not necessarily your work. Your job is something where you're separate from the process, you're separate from the product, you have no control whatsoever. But work, on the other hand, something that you apply yourself to, whether you are building something with your hands, whether you are coming up with ideas and creating something in writing, or creating something with technology. Maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're a writer, maybe you work with video. Or you are volunteering and working on a social aspect, or you're a coach, or in some other way you are helping people and you are applying your energy and your effort in a way that gives you a sense of purpose. Even just an example for me, lately I started taking a leather work course, and it's really satisfying making something with leather and working with my hands and creating something. So anything where you can apply yourself and basically have a purpose to do work, to me, that is the ultimate happiness. Now, the problem comes in when your mood is so low because of whatever factor that you don't feel like doing any work at all. So part of it is the work itself and getting yourself involved in some work, and part of it is being in the mood to do any work at all, and that's something else we're going to get into. So I would say that if you can find some work, any kind of work, and that's a generic term. It doesn't have to be, you don't think about getting paid for it. It's not about getting paid. That's a different objective. It's about applying yourself in a way that satisfies your mind, that where you feel that there is some sort of product of your efforts. And that product may be a manifestation, like maybe you build a deck or you build a table, or it can be something conceptual, you build a program, or it can be social, where you interact and you can see the benefit of your time. But sacrifice and work will bring you more happiness than you realize. I don't think happiness is a lot of what the media depicts it to be, which is indulgence, relaxing on the beach, partying. I think that's a little bit overrated. Having things that's a little bit overrated is not going to sustain you. But in my personal experience, after chasing after this, number one is work is the ultimate happiness. So try to dig into that. That's number one. All right, number two, I've talked about this before in another video for maintaining your motivation and your focus in boxing. And that is, it's going to apply in life in general. Eliminate as much addictive stimulation as you can. And this is really hard, especially if you've gone down the road with anything, and especially if it's alcohol or hard drugs. This is where you might need some real serious intervention. This is probably where a video like this isn't going to help you, but I'm going to talk about some other things as well. But addictive stimulation is going to put your mind and your whole biochemistry out of whack. You won't even be able to be in a good mood even if you tried, because you don't have the mechanisms for that. You don't have the chemistry set up for that, because it's been altered, and you need to get that back to an alignment, to a level where you can experience a content, happy feeling just living everyday life. But hard drugs and alcohol, I don't even know what I can say to you right now, but if you have an issue with that, that's something that you want to talk to somebody about and consider some serious intervention, whether it's rehab or whatever other programs you have available. What I also think is pretty serious for a lot of people out there are what I call the silent killers. And the reason I call these the silent killers is because they are more accepted in everyday and the media, but and nobody's really stopping you from doing them, and you can pretty much indulge as much as you want. It's unlimited practically. And those are caffeine, porn, and processed sugar. I think these three things, they're sort of silent, slow killers. They're not going to do you in like the hard things, but they will slowly eat away at you. Now, so let's go through each of these. Caffeine. Caffeine is everywhere. It's almost hard to avoid it if you're into any kind of coffee or soda. And if you can avoid caffeine or tea, whatever. And it's very addictive. And it gets to the point where and the other thing is there are a lot of studies showing the positive effects of caffeine. But me, in my own personal experience, I think the negatives outweigh the positives. And, I guess the best way to put it to you like this: if you had a child and they were trying out for the Junior Olympics or the Junior Nationals, would you want them having a coffee every morning? Would you want them having 2 coffees a day? And immediately your instinct is like, there's no way. So if you wouldn't prescribe it for your 11 or 12-year-old son or 16-year-old daughter going out for the Olympics, then it's probably not good for you either. So, but the problem is with caffeine, it's not always just the caffeine. With me personally is the coffee. And I have to admit, I've come to a point where I like coffee. I actually like the taste of coffee, and I enjoy it. So when you have a trigger like coffee and you're going into coffee shops, it's hard to always go with the decaf. And even if you have enough decaf, there's caffeine in that as well. So I'm going to show you guys a few products and a few things that have worked for me. But I want you to keep in mind that even though I'm showing you products, there are no sponsors in this video. This is a no sponsor video. These are things I buy with my own money, and these are things that I use. And so there's no links below or any of that kind of stuff. This is just something that I do and I'm recommending. So for coffee, one thing that's worked for me to kind of get that coffee fix for the caffeine is this stuff called Calf Lib. And I think there's a few other variations of it on the market. It's like a hickory type taste. They've made something, and it's all natural and caffeine free. Now this grind right here is anyone who drinks instant coffee knows that there's this crumbly kind of grind, and there's a smoother grind. The smoother one tastes a little bit better. So I'll get, let's say, like some of that, and I'll mix it with this Taster's Choice Nescafe decaf. So, and that's because I like this smooth, shiny grind. If you've ever seen this, it's a little bit higher decaf quality. So that gives me my coffee fix. And if I have my coffee fix, then I'm not so concerned about caffeine. And any kind of soda, whatever, I don't really drink much of that anymore, but I did. And that was really easy for me to eliminate. I just would have like a flavored Perrier, like a lemon or lime Perrier, and that sort of hits the spot for me. So if you have a hard time getting over coffee, that might be an alternative for you, and then you can slowly wean off the coffee. And just being without that caffeine, I find caffeine makes me a little bit frantic. Like, it makes me feel that I always have to be doing something. I always have to be wanting something. I always have to be thinking something. And that makes me take sort of impromptu actions that aren't really well thought out. And so I would say that what caffeine does is it eliminates sort of the mind that can really plan and think things through without having to be anxious to do something quick and jump the gun on things too quick. So, and of course, in general, caffeine is going to dehydrate you, and it's just going to, also there's other effects of how it's going to increase your cortisol levels, mess up with your sleep. We're going to get into sleep in a bit. So eliminating caffeine is going to make you a much happier person. All right, the next one, porn, and the whole no-fap concept, or let's say category. It's huge because porn has come on strong in the last, pretty much like 18 years. It's like crazy exponential growth. The access to it is crazy. It's addictive, especially, if you're, using it going solo and you can't stop. And, there are people checking themselves into rehab for this. And so this is another thing that's hard. One technical piece of advice that I can give you is get yourself the canine protector for your laptop. Get yourself a canine protector for your laptop. Put that software on your laptop. Go to a password generator, generate a password that's like 15 characters long that you can't memorize. Plug it in, and boom. And then don't save the password anywhere. If you have to uninstall the program, you can. There's a way to do it. Get the canine, put it on your laptop, and get a long password, put it on there, throw away the password, boom. Okay, so that's going to help you right a lot there, because a lot of what's going on with porn is triggers. You're in that quiet environment, there's nobody around, you're on your laptop or in your device, and maybe you're doing something good, maybe you're on YouTube watching boxing videos, that's all good, and then you start to get this idea, maybe I'm going to check something else out, and that's how it goes. And it almost seems kind of funny and laughable, and it's something that I wouldn't even talk about 4 or 5 years ago, but I've already talked about sex before fights and that kind of stuff. And I think we all know, like, it's not about the one-time event, have sex one time, like, whoop-de-doo before a fight, but it's about the chronic, and what's that going to do to your mind, take your focus off what it should be on and put it on the wrong thing. It's going to alter your body chemistry, raise your cortisol levels, and sort of put you in a sort of a stressed out, weakened state. And anybody who has abstained for a little while or gone on the no-fap, you can attest to the benefits. And for most people, you can. And if, again, like I'm saying in this video, one thing may not be your thing. So if the porn is an issue for you and you do or don't do the no-fap and it doesn't matter, then fine, you're one of those people who doesn't. But there are a lot of other people out there who it's an issue for. For your mobile device, I don't really know what advice to tell you. If you look up porn on your mobile device, maybe you have a method of fixing that. But that might help you with the trigger. But it's probably going to come down to a consciousness that you have to have something that's more important. You have to have something that's so important. This is what I love about boxing. Boxing is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to be good for sparring, to be ready for a fight. You put yourself under that pressure to have a fight, and you will start living entirely differently. You will act different. You will abstain from things. You will not indulge in certain things, because the last thing you want to do is go in that ring and be unprepared. So boxing puts a lot of pressure on you and has a positive outcome. That's what I love. One thing I love about boxing. But anyways, getting back to the porn, it's going to be a conscious decision to do what you can to eliminate that. And I'm pretty confident you can see the benefits. Next, more addictive stimulation, processed sugar. And this could be, for a lot of people, sugar isn't an issue. They don't even like sweet stuff. But for those who love it, they love it. And I'm one of those people who loves it. I love sugar, I love chocolate, I love the sweet stuff. So what you have to do is slowly desensitize yourself. Slowly get it out of your system so that you're not craving it. If you go cold turkey, you're going to start craving it. It might be hard on you. And there are a few ways that you can do this. One is, pick one thing. Pick one thing that you like. So don't sugar yourself all up all over the place with all kinds of sugar from every angle. Pick one thing you like. For me, it's chocolate. So, okay, You know, maybe I'll have a piece of dark chocolate at the end of the day or every couple of days. You know, I'm going to indulge. I'm going to do it. Slowly, as you start eliminating this, it's going to be easier. You're not going to be thinking about it. You're going to, after give yourself a month or so, you're going to be looking at things in the store. You won't even believe you used to buy that. You won't even believe that you used to eat that. So pick one thing, or if you have a lot of things that you love, start eliminating things. Do I have to have sugar in my coffee? Do I have to have that pastry? Do I have to buy that candy? Do I have to buy that? Do I have to eat that? Slowly start eliminating if you can't pick the one thing, and that's going to help a lot. Once you get that processed sugar out of your system, you're going to be easy on your diet, it's going to be easy on your sleep, you're going to be able to think more clearly, it's going to have huge benefits. All right, next one, sleep. Get your sleep under control. And for me, this has always been the hardest. I've always been a late nighter, a late night owl, and watching TV late at night, that's my biggest problem. It's been my biggest problem since I was 14 years old, watching TV late at night. Since I was 14 years old, there's only one time in my life that I've been able to get good sleep, and that was when I was 28, 29 years old, and I was so broke. I didn't have cable. I had to cut my cable, and I didn't have internet. Only at work did I have internet. I was working this sales job, and I had internet at work. So at home, I basically had no technology whatsoever, and I didn't really put two and two together, but I was getting these great sleeps, falling asleep around 10 o'clock at night, getting these great sleeps, broke as hell, and you know, nothing special going on in my life, but getting this amazing sleep. And it wasn't until, you know, maybe a few years ago I started to put it together that it's the visual, it's the technology that's keeping me awake, the visual stimulation. So one thing that you can do first off is get the Twilight app on your phone. And because even me still, I like to read in bed at night. You know, I'm sort of a big fan or a big user of Kindle. I got all kinds of books on there, and reading helps me fall asleep. Twilight, that's the app. It blocks out the blue light, blocks out certain light, and you can set it super dim. And maybe it's not perfect, but it helps a lot. And I could say that I've got my sleep back on track. It was very common for me to fall asleep 2 in the morning, 2:30 to 3 in the morning. There was even a time about 3 years ago I was falling asleep at 4 in the morning. And what's funny is when I lived in an apartment, there was a guy across who used to get up for work at 4 in the morning. So he'd be getting up for work and to go to work, and I hadn't even fallen asleep yet. So this is how bad it can get. Whereas right now I'm falling asleep between, I'd say, 11 p.m. to midnight. So I've really been able to dial it back. And the Twilight, put that Twilight app on your phone, is a big help. Another thing that's a big help for sleep is I've been taking this every now and then, time-released melatonin. And I don't take it every night, maybe once every 3 nights, once every 4 nights, and it helps keep me on track. And if I really need to sleep, it helps. Get the time-released. Don't get just the regular. Get the time-released melatonin. Take it. Don't take it if you're driving or working any heavy machinery. Take it around 9:30 at night. Your peak melatonin in your body is going to be around 10 p.m. Take it around that time of night. It's going to really help get you going with that cycle. So that's really helped me as well. Another thing that's helped me for the winter blues and for waking up in the morning is I bought myself a sunlight box, one of these sunlight boxes, sun boxes. This one is actually called Sun Box. Now this thing was a bit expensive, costs a couple $100. So that's what I'm saying. I have a lot of products in this video, but they're not sponsored products. So that might be a solution. Depends on how much sun you get in where you live. But that's really helped me getting up in the morning, keeping my mood high during the dark winters of Canada. I live in Toronto, so it's not so bad compared to the north, but it really helps a lot and helps me get going in the morning. You're looking for a box, a light that gives off 10,000 lumens. That's equivalent to the sun, and that's going to give you sort of that equivalent wake up, and I find that that's helped me. So for your sleep, very important. Obviously the caffeine, eliminating the caffeine ties in, eliminating too much processed sugar, making sure that you eliminate technology and bright light late in the day. So the sunlight, the Twilight app helps. Bright light in the morning, and the melatonin. All those are going to help your sleep, and overall that's going to help you be in a better mood, especially in the early mornings when you have your peak energy. I have my best energy from the morning. I wake up till about 2 in the afternoon, and then the energy starts to drop a little bit. So that's going to help get you up in the morning, have a better sleep, and maximize your peak energy time. All right, vitamin supplementation. Now, I'm not someone who can be giving you broad advice on nutrition and diet, but I would recommend that you get a vitamin or nutrient deficiency profile done. Go to the doctor and see if you can get this done. One shocking thing that happened to me is my diet is very, it's not vegan, but it's very meat light. So like maybe I'll eat meat a couple times a week. And one day I was in the drugstore looking for the melatonin, and I looked up and I saw vitamin B12, and I remember just watching a video about how anyone who's vegan should look out for that and should be very conscious of that, and because you're not going to get it from those sources, you're going to get it from egg, dairy, and meat sources. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to buy this vitamin B12 and see what it does, see if it does anything. Well, I took it for 2 days, and all of a sudden I just felt my mood and cognition go through the roof. It's not an upper. It just brings you back, or at least that's what it did for me. And it wasn't until I took that, and I've been taking it for a while, but it wasn't until I took that I realized, oh, maybe I had a vitamin B12 deficiency. And that might be, I'm only mentioning this because it might be your thing. You might be fine in every other way and you might be thinking you have all kinds of problems, and it might be just that. So I got myself, this is what I got myself, vitamin B12, 5,000 micrograms, but that's probably even overkill. And because really, you don't need that much. And once you start taking it, it stores in your body and doesn't deplete right away. It's not like popping some candy where like you have it and it dissolves and is used up. It stores in your body. But vitamin B12, especially if you have more of a vegan style diet, I would look into getting a profile done, go to a doctor, ask for a profile done, or just go get some and see what it does. I have to say that and the sleep has probably been the biggest contributor to upping my mood and my cognitive state, my sharpness. That as soon as I started taking that, I felt like I was 28, 29 again. I remember it's almost like as if I had lost a bunch of years being subpar, substandard, at least for my own self, my own standard. I could just feel the sharpness come back. And so I've been taking that regularly since. And again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, so you're going to have to go investigate this on your own. Vitamin B12 is fairly safe. It's not like I'm recommending you take something that's really edgy. But this is something that you're probably going to want to look into. It really helped me. All right, let's talk about the social side. And this is very important. And I experienced this firsthand when I went from working in an office job to working solely on my business, on my boxing business with YouTube. Now, even though on camera you see a lot of YouTubers, they're all like this and all happy and perky, they're not necessarily all like that. And especially behind the camera, they're not all like that. And the thing is, because with YouTube, it's a lot of coming up with the idea, and then it's setting things up the way you want it to set up, delivering the idea. The video itself may be only 10 minutes, or maybe it might be a 30-minute shoot to edit 10 minutes of content. Then you're editing after, and then you're looking at your analytics every day, and you're getting negative comments from people. You get positive comments, which is always appreciated, but even those negative comments still stick it to you. I mean, nowhere in life you walk down the street and rarely someone's gonna, every day somebody's gonna say, oh, look at, say something negative about you. So, anyways, that kind of thing about YouTube. But the whole point that I'm making is that when I went from working at the office, I was talking all the time, talking to coworkers, my manager, talking to other teams, presenting things, to all of a sudden on YouTube, I'm not talking that much in daily life. So sometimes, maybe I'd shoot 1 or 2 videos a week, and on those days when I'm editing or whatever, I remember I'd wake up and maybe the only thing I'd say all day is, I'll have a small coffee, please. I'd just go and order a coffee, and it'd be 6 o'clock and I've maybe said 10 words all day. And you keep that up over the weeks and over the months, and the circuitry in your brain and your alertness, it starts to diminish. Your whole mood and everything starts to diminish. And so really it's not just for me, but for especially men, because men in general, we tend to talk less. And the words and the socialization, if you're not in an environment where you get to talk a little bit, the words and the socialization, it triggers your mind, it triggers your brain, it gets the circuitry going, it elevates your mood. Even if you're an introvert, you may be talking for an hour and a half, and it may drain you, and you're going to go and need to recover from that. But your overall mood will be elevated from that experience. After you recover, it's like going for a run. Like you worked hard, and then you got to recover, and you get up and you're like, wow, that was good. Then you feel sort of elevated from the socialization. Now the problem with a lot of people is that, and especially me as a YouTuber, or anyone who's working in a certain kind of job, if you're a truck driver or maybe you work in a factory, you don't have a situation where you're doing a lot of talking, where you're doing a lot of interacting. And so you can slowly, your brain, I would just put it as the energy or the electrical circuitry starts to diminish. That's just how it feels. You just feel like as if the batteries are dying out in your brain. So one thing I noticed, and this is a bit of help that you can do on your own, there's a book out there that I read a long time ago called The Artist's Way. And in this book, The Artist's Way, the author talks about something called morning pages. And the morning pages are basically that when you want to get to the real creative side of you, when you want to get to your inner truth, the inner truth inside you that brings out creative ideas, that brings out real expression. When you want to get to that, you got to get rid of all the crap on top of you. And that kind of crap is, my insurance is renewing, what will that bill be? Oh, I got a meeting, I got to get to that. What do I need for groceries? All kinds of crap that's just on your mind. You got to, or maybe you have all kinds of emotional blockages that you're mad, something's going on in your life and you're upset about that thing and you can't get it off your mind. Well, expressing it, and one is writing it. We're not just going to talk about writing. Expressing it is one way to get it off, to get it out of your system so that the real you can show. And where I actually noticed this myself is making YouTube videos. You don't see a lot of what goes behind the scenes on the camera, is that for the first 5-7 minutes of a video, I'm chugging along. I'm stopping and starting. The words aren't coming out right. My ideas are blocked. And it's not coming to me. But all of a sudden, I found that around the 8th, 9th, or 10th minute in a video, I get going. All of a sudden, it gets going. And I feel sharp, I feel quick. And it's almost like finally talking and getting it out. Finally, it's like my brain woke up. And so again, for a lot of people who don't do a lot of talking, this is going to start to really affect your mood over the while. So what can you do? Well, you can do 3 things you're going to use to help you with this. Is either writing, audio, or video. Now, one thing about me is I don't want to write all my deepest, darkest feelings and problems and have that sitting on a piece of paper lying around my house, even if I lock it up. I don't want that information lying around. And another thing is that I don't want to write because I've done enough writing and it's long, it's time consuming, it's boring. So video works for me. You need to get the crap out of your mind. You need to get the negativity out of you. Talking about it is one way to help do that. The problem is, who you're going to talk to. Well, you're not going to talk to your kids because you don't want to burden them with that kind of stuff. And depending on your relationship with your spouse, or if you're married or single, you don't always have that person to talk to. And even if you have a spouse, you don't want to be that dead weight to lay that burden on them. That's also just sort of the nature, I would say, of a lot of people. You don't want to take your negativity and put it on somebody else. Now they got to carry it. And the other thing is, you don't want to tell your friends because they're never going to let it go. You tell them, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. It'll be years later, you'll be over it and they'll still be bringing it up. You don't necessarily. So one thing that you can do is get in your car, get in a private place where you can really let your words fly, your real thoughts. Set up your phone, get the recording app on your phone, whether it's video or audio. Set it up and hit record, okay? And for the next 10-15 minutes, to yourself, you're just going to tell it like it is. You're going to tell this compassionate stranger the phone. You could imagine that anybody is there. You're going to speak the truth about how you feel about your life, about how you feel about things, about what you're excited about what you're feeling down about, what's good, what could be better, What do you need to do? What can you do? What are you working on? Just let it all out. Let it all out, because we really don't get a chance to talk enough, and very few people have that compassionate stranger in their life to talk to, and very few people even have the money to afford therapy. I mean, therapy is an option, but if you don't have that kind of option, this is an option. If you like to write, then put it down on paper. If you feel that you can keep that paper around, fine. If not, rip it up and burn it, or get rid of it somehow. You put it on, you record all your thoughts on the audio. Tell it like it is. Let it get out of your system. Put it on the video. If you want, play it back and see, watch yourself. And you're going to be your own compassionate stranger. Listen to yourself. Or play it back on the video. And then just delete it when it's done. Delete it. Get it, it's gone. You got it out of your system. And you can do that as much as you need. Work it every day, every few days. Be your own person to talk to for that kind of stuff, because it's very rare that you're going to have somebody out there, but you need to get it out. You need to get it out of your system. And I know, because sometimes I get emails from people, and when you get somebody with deep emotional thoughts and sort of a compassionate stranger, sort of a stranger that they can tell all to, you're going to get emails. I've seen emails like this of people telling me their life story, and it's amazing. It's amazing to read it and to hear it. And it's rewarding for me to see somebody really spill it. It's because there's nobody really you're going to tell this to, very rarely. So you have to be that person for yourself. And one mechanism is get something to record, get some video, and just give it. And give it and let it out of your system. Listen to it back if you want, and then delete it. And it's gone. And that's going to help you get your mind going, help get the negativity out of your system. All right, I got a couple more that are really going to help. Next one. Cold showers, cold therapy. Now, there's a lot of research saying that this is going to help, and then there's some research saying, oh, well, yeah, it doesn't maybe help as much as you might think, but anecdotally, from my own personal experience, it's very hard to be in a bad mood when you're taking cold showers. There's just something about what it does to you. Now, the science behind it is that cold exposure enacts the endocannabinoid receptors in your brain. That's where I think they are. And that is, let's say when you smoke weed or take weed, these are the receptors that attach on to the chemicals and put you in that state. So cold therapy is supposed to stimulate the receptors so that the endocannabinoids are going to latch on to those receptors. But whether cold showers is enough to do that, I don't know. I don't know how serious the cold therapy was. It might have been some Wim Hof kind of cold therapy style. But cold showers is something that I've only been doing on and off for the past year, and it perks you up. It helps with your mood. It sort of violates your physicality in a good way to say, hey, let's get going. We got to be ready for life. We got to be ready for something out there. So it's gonna jolt your system, gonna shock your system. You don't have to start off going super cold, but get in the shower, have your normal warm shower. At the end, crank it down for 30 seconds and get under there. And do that every day for a little while. And that's just gonna make a little bit of a difference in your mood and your life. And it definitely helps me. What do we want in this life? What do I think a lot of us want? We want respect. We want recognition. This is huge. Maybe even more so than love. It depends. Or even more so than happiness. Respect and recognition. The thing is, especially as you get older, or if you're not famous for something, or if you're not known for something, or if you don't look a certain way, it's not really easy just to get that respect for no reason. And somebody isn't just going to give it to you. Especially, you can't depend on other people for it because they're in their own world. I mean, you go to Starbucks and you order a coffee and the barista's like, here you go. The barista doesn't respect you. You go to a restaurant, order food. You go to the gas station, get your gas, and you might be getting disrespected all day long. Not that you're getting disrespected, it's just that these people don't care about you. And you may feel that as a disrespect, and slowly, especially as you get older, and you may go through life feeling invisible. And this is for a lot of people. And I can tell you even personally, like on YouTube, I make these videos, but in real life, I'm a nobody. Nobody knows me. I'm a nobody in daily life. So I go through life just like anybody else. and you get the same treatment as anybody else. And so you might start to feel like you're not recognized, or you're not getting the respect that you deserve, considering that you've been a good, responsible citizen, but it starts to feel like you're good for nothing. There's the saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, another saying that I like is, you do unto yourself as you would want others to do unto you. The number one way to get respect is to give it to yourself. You have to give yourself the respect. You are the boss and the owner of your own self-respect. You have to give it to yourself. And the way you can start giving yourself respect is raise your standard. Find areas in your life that could be better. It could be something small, like you come home and you leave your socks beside the bed on the floor. It could be something small like that. You're going to make sure that you put your socks back where they should be. Hang up your clothes. It could be about the way you dress. You have, usually when you have a mindset of, I don't care, that's how you know that the standard is low. So you want to try to find ways where you say, okay, you know what? I mean, of course I don't care what other people think, but I care what I think, so maybe I'm going to at least wear these kind of shoes and go out looking presentable. Or you're going to start to take care of your body. This is where the exercise comes in, the whole psychology comes in. Or maybe you're going to invest in learning into something, do something new, take a new course. Whatever it is that you can do, find an area of your life, whether it's what you wear, whether it's how you speak, whether it's who you interact with, whether it's what you eat, whether it's the activities you engage in. Find a way to raise your standard. Give yourself the self-respect. Give yourself the respect that you deserve. And it's not going to be really an issue whether you're getting it from anywhere else. And once you start to feel that feeling of improved self-respect, that's going to carry into your life, and that's really going to improve your mood. I found that it did for me. All right, last one, money. Now, I don't have any advice on how to get rich or how to invest and take your money through the roof, but I do have some practical experience on how not to lose money, because I spent the first 35 years of my life losing money, spending money, wasting money, throwing money away, passing it like a hot potato. That's what I did with money. And I had debt from my university education, then I had debt from other things in life. I had credit card debt. Right now I have no debt. Got myself out of all of that. But I had a whole bunch of debt. And the one thing about once you have debt and then you get some money, it really hurts to pay that debt, because let's just say you have $10,000 in debt and then you get $10,000, and you can think of all the fun and exciting things you can do with that money, and then you go put it on the debt and nothing's changed and it sucks. So this is one of the things, again, it's not to say that all debt is bad. You might have debt for your education, you might need it, or you might have some debt for your business and you might need it. But for the most part, if you mismanage your money, it's going to start to affect your self-image. It's going to start to affect your self-esteem. And if you have a little bit of cash on hand, just a little bit of cash, a nice chunk of cash and no debt, all of a sudden you have a few more options than you did before. And for me, how did I make that shift? Well, I had been working an office job for years and still had debt, so it took a while to pay it down. But the shift came from two things, two thoughts, two processes. One is that you have to internalize this one truth, is that there will always be something in the future that you want more than this thing that you want right now. So whatever it is that you want right now, how bad do you want that thing right now? Whatever it is that you could buy it right now. Is there something in the future that you think that you could want more? And if you can't think of it, I guarantee there's something. There's something that you will want more with that same money. And that's going to be a reason to just hold on to the money just a little bit longer. Because you know what? I want this so bad right now, but you know what? There's something I want more. And that's going to help you to not spend the money. Just hold on to that money. Keep that money for yourself. Whether you're going to invest it or just keep it in a savings account, just keep that money. Don't put it into something right away where the money's gone, because trust me, there's something in 6 months or in even a month, you're going to want that more than this thing, and you're going to be happy that you have the money for it. So that's the first thing, is see how long you can roll with that mindset. And once you start stacking a little bit of money, now all the things that you thought you wanted, you're gonna, I don't want that. I don't need that right now. Because it's gonna feel better to have the money and have the options. Number 2 is internalize your awareness. When you have that money and you have this thing that you want or that thing that you want to do, you can feel the excitement. You feel sort of a rush, almost like an irrational excitement about it. Now that irrational excitement combined with that money is a deadly combo. It's a deadly combo, and it's a reinforcing combo because you have the excitement for that thing, you spend the money, and it reinforces itself. And next time you get the money, whatever it is from your paycheck, whatever it is, and it's something that you want, and you buy it and reinforce it, it's like a little loop. Now, that doesn't say that you can't go buy things that you're excited about. I mean, maybe you want to get a new set of golf clubs, or maybe you want to get something that's exciting. It's when you feel that feeling inside that's a little bit irrational, that I gotta have it now kind of feeling. It's almost the same thing that I talked about before. It's okay to make the purchase. For example, like this summer, I want to buy myself a new bike. I have like a decent low-end road bike. I want to get myself a better road bike. But I've been waiting on that purchase because I don't want to purchase it while I'm in that sort of state. See if you can if you feel that feeling inside you, I gotta have it now. See if you can make the purchase, but promise yourself you're gonna buy that thing, whatever it is you want. New golf clubs, new stereo, new laptop, whatever. But make the purchase when that feeling is gone. Go there with a rational mind. And this happens a lot with YouTubers too, because we want tech. We want the latest cameras, we want the latest sound, we want the latest lighting. And you want to buy, and you think, if I get the best stuff, my videos are going to go through the roof. And it doesn't work like that. So when you have that feeling of, I got to have it now, tell yourself, well, I'm going to buy that thing. I'm going to buy the new bag. I'm going to buy those new shoes. I'm going to buy whatever it is you want. But don't do it while that feeling is there. Wait for it to go. And then come back 3 days later, 2 days later, and then buy what you want to buy. Buy whatever it is you want in a calm, logical state. Now, how does this relate to your mood? Well, money management relates to self-control and self-discipline. And if you have that self-control and self-discipline, you're going to feel more level. You're going to feel more at ease. And it's going to elevate your mood. It's going to make you feel better about yourself, elevate your self-esteem. You will be in control. And it all connects. You're making irrational decisions here, you're making irrational decisions there, you're making spontaneous decisions there, throwing up money, taking addictive stimulation, and doing all kinds of stuff is going to throw you off. And it's going to be harder to get yourself into that level-headed, even-keel state of mind. All right, so those are all my practical tips for beating bad mood, beating depression, trying to keep yourself in an optimal state. Check through the video. Not all of them are going to apply to you. You may pick and choose, or some of them it doesn't apply to you now, but it may in the future you want to come back to it and say, okay, let me add this, let me try this. And I really just wanted to put out this video because it's what's really helped me. These things have really helped me because I've gone through my own battles and struggles with mood. I wouldn't say depression, but with a low mood, with money and finance, stress in life, all kinds of stuff. And this is what's really helped me the most. And I think that when you're in a good mood, when you're in the mood, well, it comes back to number one, when you're in the mood to work at something, apply yourself to something, that is the ultimate happiness. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.